Hi, welcome back to Father and Son Investing. If you are an Ibond investor, then you have been waiting for the information that came out this morning from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. You're waiting for the CPI or the Consumer Price Index to come out so that you can find out what the inflation rate is and therefore what your interest rate will be for your Ibond. So let's get to it. In this video, we'll talk about what today's announcement is for the inflation rate. We'll talk about what that then translates into for an interest rate for your Ibond for 6 months that starts in November 1st, or the 6 months whenever your Ibond interest rate resets, depending on when you purchased it. Then lastly, we'll do a hypothetical to show what your money can be earning over the next year based upon the current interest rate of 9.62% and the interest rate that we're going to come up with today. All right, first things first, the announcement. From the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Consumer Price Index shows that for all items, inflation rose 0.4% in September. And for a year-over-year rate, it's 8.2% compared to September of 2021. Item number 2 for this video, let's calculate what your Ibond interest rate will be. In order to do that, there are 2 pieces of data that we need to know. We need to know what the CPI-U number was for March of 2022, and we need to know what the CPI-U number is for September of 2022. If you're not familiar with why we need these 2 pieces of data, it's because Treasury Direct uses those 2 months, March and September, in order to calculate the semi-annual inflation rate. Now, you may see other people using different formulas. Trust me, that is not the way it's done. They simply take those 2 months' data and they plug it into the semi-annual inflation rate formula, which I'll show you in just a minute. Finding the CPI-U numbers in the Bureau of Labor Statistics website is not exactly an easy thing, but I have that for you here. This is going to be a database that shows all of the CPI-U numbers actually dating back into 1913. So without further ado, let's go ahead and scroll down and find out what the new CPI-U number is. Drum roll, please. The September 2022 CPI-U number is 296.08. Of course, the March number is 287.504. Let's go ahead and do the math and figure out what your new Ibond interest rate is. Now I have this data plugged into an Excel spreadsheet, which just makes it easier to do the math. So we have the 2 numbers, March 2022 CPI-U number and September 2022 CPI-U number. In order to get what your Ibond interest rate, which is the semi-annual inflation rate, is, it's a simple formula. We take the current CPI-U number, we subtract the previous CPI-U number, and divide by the previous CPI-U number. We then go ahead and multiply that by 100 to get an interest rate, and then if you want it annualized, you simply double it. So for instance, the way they came up with the current Ibond interest rate of 9.62%, remember that's annualized. To get the semi-annual inflation rate, we divide by 2 and come up with 4.81%. To get that percentage, they took last year's CPI-U number from September and subtracted it from March 2022 CPI-U, divided by last year's number, multiplied by 100, and they came up with 4.81%. So we'll let Excel do the math for the current CPI-U number of 296.808. When all of that is said and done, we come up with a semi-annual inflation rate of 3.236%. Now, since Treasury Direct reports their interest rate to the second decimal, we'll go ahead and do some rounding here. Instead of using 3.236, we'll go ahead and use 3.24. That would be what your money would earn on the next 6 months, 3.24%. If we take that on an annualized basis, you of course are looking at 6.48%. So answer number 2 for this video, what will your Ibond interest rate be for the next 6 months starting November 1st, or again, whenever the 6 months resets on your Ibond? It should be 6.48%. It possibly may come out as 6.47%, depending on how Treasury Direct chooses to round their numbers. So before we get to item number 3, let's just take a quick trip in the Wayback Machine to see what I said my estimate was for your Ibond interest rate on the video that I did earlier this week. What does that mean? That means that my estimate for what the next iBond interest rate will be come November 1st will be 6.7%.
Missed it by that much.
So let's just wrap up this video by doing a quick hypothetical. Let's say that you have $10,000 to invest today in iBonds. As long as you purchase that before October 28th or by October 28th at 11:59 p.m., you will get that interest rate of 9.62% annualized. But remember that that's on an annualized basis. Your money will actually be earning half of that for 6 months. So we take our $10,000, we multiply it by 0.481, and we come up with $481 is what our money will earn over 6 months. The interest is only paid semi-annually, so you have to wait 6 months to get that interest. Now, we will then have $10,481 in our treasurydirect.gov account. Remember that the new iBond interest rate for 6 months will be 0.324. We're going to go ahead and multiply that by our $10,481. After another 6 months, that will get us an interest payment of $339.58. When we add that to our previous $10,481, you will see that you will then have $10,820.58 in your treasurydirect.gov account, meaning that you will have earned $820.58 over 12 months. That means that over 12 months, you're looking at an 8.2% return. So that's it for today, iBond investors. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give us a thumbs up, and we'd love to have you as a subscriber. Please share this information with a young person in your life. Can you imagine as a teenager earning 8.2% on your money, especially if you don't need it for at least a year, and potentially if you're saving for far off into the future, how fantastic that would be. Until next time, enjoy your investing.